Welcome to Polyphonic. I'm Paul, and today I'm going to take you through a recap of my best thrift store music finds of 2025. Polyphonic. All the time I am finding very surprising things at thrift stores and yard sales, and some of them I sell, but usually the best ones I keep. And what I'm about to show you are all keepers and have become some of my all-time best finds. And here we go. So my first top find of 2025 occurred not in a thrift store, but a vintage store. So we're going to include this because the find was so amazing. It's a great place here in Jacksonville called Castaways. I was poking around and, looking through all these amazing random assorted albums and stuff. And suddenly I pulled out what I knew right away was the inner sleeve to Fleetwood Mac's Tusk album. And I saw signatures on it. And I got very excited right away. And so I started looking and I saw Stevie Nicks, I saw Mick Fleetwood, and I saw both McVies, John and Christine. The only one not there was Lindsey Buckingham. The signatures were all like rough, like they weren't really smooth. It was probably done at the end of a concert. And which to me sort of makes it more authentic. It's like on site when they were performing, possibly during the Tusk era tour, so like 78 or 79. That is one of the most amazing finds ever for me. Okay, the second top 5 find have occurred maybe 2 or 3 days after I found that Fleetwood Mac inner sleeve, signed inner sleeve. I was in Goodwill, and I was looking through piles of albums. I pulled up this strange brownish sleeved album, and it was called The Nation's Nightmare. The drawing of the guy was like shooting up a drug, and so I was like, that's very unusual and very daring because it was clearly old. So like, who would put that on an album cover decades ago? So I did a little research there, and I discovered that it was made in 1952 by Andy Warhol. And so I'm looking at this and it's like, oh, it's Andy Warhol. And then like I start seeing other copies of it online. His artwork for the album originated a year earlier. He won a contest to do poster artwork for the CBS radio network. They were doing a radio special on the dangers of drug abuse in America. And so he won the contest, and he was able to do this daring, druggy artwork for it. And a year later, the CBS radio network made a record of it, made a few different records, I think, of the series, but this is the one that has that same artwork on there, and it's very rare, and it's highly sought after. It has some wear, but it is still a killer copy. The vinyl itself is perfect. I don't think it's ever been played. But what's great about this, and it's unusual again for the time period, but not only is this Andy Warhol early artwork, 17 or 18 years before he does Velvet Underground's famous banana artwork, it's got nice touches, like the inner labels on both sides have the same artwork that's on the album sleeve. So it's a really nice production, and I've never heard of it, and I would not have known to look for it. I got that thing for $2 at a Goodwill, and that is one of my prized possessions. It also is framed. It's got to be, conservatively, at least $1,000, worth $1,000. So the number 3 top find was also at a Goodwill, and there was a pile of new CDs that had come in. I found one, and my radar is always up for signatures because you just never know. And this CD had like a signature in every corner of it, and the band was called The Editors. I've never heard of them before that, but apparently they were huge in Great Britain and probably Europe. And this was their first album called The Back Room. So I grabbed it for 99 cents. I got home and I did more research on this thing. And there were some others online that were selling for $300 and $400. But second great part of this was, I sort of like on a weird musical spiritual level, I like for thrift stores to throw things at me to discover musically. So, you know, when I find something cool, I listen to it. I like, okay, it's time for me to hear this. And these guys were so good. So like on lots of levels, I'm really glad I was there that day, and it was only because it was signed that I even looked. Otherwise, I would not know about the editors. I still wouldn't. So that's a fun thing to do if you're thrifting. Not only is it for the material like selling and trading and collecting, but to let it sort of guide you in your awareness of music or whatever. It's education. It's ongoing education, and I like to look at these things that way. So a great find, unexpected, as most of them are. So for most of the rest of the year, there wasn't much. There was a lot of stuff that I could sell, but not much more as far as my own personal collection goes. That is until I was in this Goodwill, the same one that I found the editor's CD in. I was in there like a month ago. They have piles of records and most of them are crap, but I noticed that there were a few newer ones in the front of one of the bins. And so I'm going through the albums, and all of a sudden I see Carole King, Tapestry, right? It's a classic, one of the classics. What caught my eye was this, inscribed, signed Carole King. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I picked it up and I was like, I just found a signed Carole King album. That is the most unbelievable find probably ever. And then the next one was also a Carole King, also signed. 2 Carole King albums in a row, both signed. But what struck me was that it's in different pen and marker. Like this one's a marker and it looks real cool. This one is in pen, which tells me these were done at different times. So somebody, I think, was a Carole King follower, like a real fan, and probably met her at least twice, and got them signed at different times. So that, like, I love thinking about the history of that, like who owned these, and they were clearly important to whoever it was. And I love saving something like that. I like finding it and saving it, and keeping them together is really cool as well. Each one of these, like similar signed ones on eBay, go for like $100 to $200. So this was like a $200 to $300 find right here if one were to sell it. But I'm not. I'm going to get these framed. This is another one of my probably top 5 ever thrift store finds. 2 Carole King records. She was one of the most important songwriters of the 20th century, and I can't believe I just found 2. So the final thrift store find, top 5 find of 2025, isn't, as far as I can tell, it's not worth that much. This is a band that I'd never heard of called Roadkill Ghost Choir. And this is their first CD. This same CD was released again, but it was after they were signed, I think. I've just done a bit of amateur research on this, so I'm not sure I have all the facts straight, but what I can determine is this was paid for by them, the band, and I think their parents. The credits indicate this was self-funded, and probably they got a lot of help. I can't get over how good this is. Like, it's really haunting, swampy southern rock. What clued me into this, just like with that editor's CD, was on the back, signed by all the original members. I'm so glad I found this. Again, like I doubt it's worth much. They're out of Florida. I think they were out of Tampa. I consider this one of the top finds because once I listened to it, it was like, this is right where I live musically sometimes. This is something I would love to hear all the time. So those are my top 5 finds, music finds of 2025. Leave a comment below. Let me know if you thrift, or even if you don't, if you just go music shopping. What did you find this year? What landed in your lap and blew your mind? Let me know. Like and follow and all the fun stuff. And I hope to be putting out more stuff in 2026. Good luck with everything. Hope you find some great stuff in the coming year. Polyphonic.